Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Coffee Chat. I'm so happy to be here, and today I have Carol back with me.
Yep, I seem to be a permanent fixture
Yeah,
here.
Carol is hanging out. We've got a lot of topics that we want to cover, and so it's taken us quite a while, and
Yes.
I foresee quite a few more visits together here in Coffee Chats.
Absolutely. I tell you what, too, I meant to tell y'all sooner, but
What's
we
that?
can do it live. I actually talked to a client today who had a great suggestion.
Oh, yeah?
And so for you guys, something for you to know, you're watching us live. So when we're done with this segment, we'll post it to YouTube.
Yep.
So what the client had asked was, she said, hey, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on social media. Is there a way that I can follow, hear what you guys are talking about and see it? And I said, yeah, go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. But one of the things that we can probably do is maybe share the link to the YouTube video in the comments so that you guys can share that with your friends that are maybe not on social media that you want to share the information with. That particular client had asked for us to email her to let her know when we've updated our content, because she would love to follow what we're talking about but is not on social media.
Okay, well, there you go. So we can definitely do that because we love to stay connected with you guys. Now, I have behind the camera Will, of course, he's back there. And I have Dana over here reading the comments and checking in with everybody. So as we are chatting today, if you have a comment that is related to the topic, we'll address it today. If it's not related to the topic, we'll definitely make note of it, try to get that answered, and maybe schedule its on Coffee Chat, because sometimes there's so many rabbit trails that we can go off on.
Oh, I'm good at rabbit trails.
Yeah, they need their own Coffee Chat. So we try to keep it to about 30 minutes here, but I'm Sherry Smeraglia, the CEO of Smeraglia Enterprises and of Teddy Bear Goldendoodles, Schnoodles, and Twoodles. And my job is just to keep everybody educated, informed, and all on the same page. Carol works with the dog care team, all the people that have anything to do with caring for the animals here on the farm. And she also talks to clients that have, needs or questions and things like that once they get their puppies home, and tries to walk them through crises, issues, any troubleshooting you can do. So
Absolutely.
It's busy around here.
It is, but you know what? We wouldn't have it any other way.
I know, I haven't seen her all day, and she sat down about 10 minutes ago. We got our coffee, and she was like, I said, how was it? Crazy? I said, we do crazy well. That's what we do really good at. I thrive in crazy.
I do too. I always have. I love it. It's always something new. We're never bored here. But on that note, like with the topic we're going to be talking about today, is things are always moving. Things are always changing. And so we have always got to be prepared to move and change with it as new information comes available.
That's right. So our topic today, hopefully it doesn't gross anybody out because it is poop related, but it's, the number one problem that this little buggy that we're going to talk about, which is Giardia. We are talking about Giardia today, and we are going to discuss Giardia, all kinds of things, how you get it, what it is, what the latest news is about it. But before we do that, let's let Dana chime in. Is there anything that you want to chime in with, Dana?
We've got Jackie with us. She says,
Jackie.
hi, ladies. And our own Samantha Mumma is here with us. Hey,
Oh,
Sam.
yeah,
Hi, Sam.
Samantha, she's well-versed in this topic.
Yes.
She was very excited for today's coffee chat.
Yes, very excited. So let's just start off, Will. Let's talk to them about what is the topic that we're talking about. What is Giardia? All right, there you go. I'll let you go ahead and read it and talk about it, Carol.
Okay,
this
so
is,
I'm
this
gonna
is
look
her
weird.
favorite place to
It
go.
is. So I'm going to look weird for a minute because I'm looking at the screen over there where I can see.
That's
So
okay.
what is Giardia? Giardiosis is a common parasitic infection that causes diarrhea in dogs. It is caused by an intestinal parasite called Giardia, which can be found in feces, contaminated soil, food, and water. So basically, layman's terms, Giardia is a protozoa, so a microscopic bug that lives in just non-treated water, soil, or places where something that had Giardia passed a cyst. Giardia has two different forms that it typically is when it's in the system. It has a cyst form, which it's a very hard cyst. It's very resistant to lots of things. And then it has its more active form that's like the flagellate form that you can actually see swimming around. So when we do a fecal check, that's what we look for, is either the cyst or we look for the little swimmers swimming around in there.
So they are microscopic. This is not like a lot of times when you're talking about intestinal issues with dogs like worms and things like that, that you can actually see. And you're like, oh my God, what is that? Oh, and it's grossing you out. These are things you cannot see, okay? But they are microscopic. We look for them, vets look for them, we look for them in fecal matter.
We do.
That's how we look. That's where they are. They live in fecal matter. Now, I do want to talk to you because we're talking about canine Giardia. And yes, there is human Giardia too. And a lot of people that travel, you know, to third world countries and places like that, and they're always told to avoid the water. And it's because they're avoiding the water because it has been contaminated, probably with feces that has Giardia in it.
Yeah,
and you cannot drink it. But the people in those regions, though, can drink it.
Yes, because their body has developed an immunity.
And that's what we're gonna talk about today. In America, in the canine community, in all, I mean, cats and raccoons and rabbits and lots of mammals can carry this, but we're gonna talk about it in the canine world. Just why it is such a hot topic. It is like the biggest topic.
And I never have understood. It goes in phases, it seems.
Yeah.
And real quick, I want to clarify. One of the things that you just said is human Giardia, dog Giardia. So just to clarify, it's not a dog that's been diagnosed with Giardia or a human that's been diagnosed. It's literally different strains. They're labeled as A, B, C, D, E, and F, I believe, are the strains. There may be another one, but I think that that's it. But it's like rodents have one strain, cats have one of them. And so, and as a rule, it is pretty species specific. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have oddball cases of something carrying around something like with anything, but for the most part, your dog's Giardia doesn't transmit to people. Human Giardia doesn't transmit to dogs. It tends to stay in its lane, so to say.
I know Dr. Cordy, who has been our vet since the very beginning of time, it seems like.
Yeah, it does.
Dr. Cordy recently retired in his 80s, and I talked to him back in the day because, you know, I was having little kids and, you know, pregnant and raising dogs, and, you know, you'd hear all this, and when the internet, you know, popped up back in the late 90s and everybody was on it, they were Googling this and they were learning about it, and it was freaking everybody out.
Do you know why? Because there was a vaccine that was developed.
Yeah.
So what happened is there was a Giardia vaccine that was developed because it's known that a dog can develop an immunity to Giardia on its own. So there was a vaccine. Well, in the marketing of the vaccine, it was, oh, you've got to have this vaccine to protect you and your family. Well, that wasn't necessarily, maybe at the time that was kind of accurate.
Yeah, it didn't last very long on the market.
It didn't last very long because number one is the vaccine was doing the same thing that just getting Giardia did, but so much that the information was just disproven, meaning that you're not going to get Giardia from your dog, so much of what they were leaning into just didn't hold.
It was false advertising somewhat. All right, so let's just start from the beginning. You guys, you're like, what the heck are they talking about? Giardia? I mean, I've heard about it. Is this a big problem? It is a problem as a dog breeder and in the world that we live in, because so many people are afraid of Giardia. Their puppy is exposed to it. All dogs are going to be exposed to Giardia in their life. And the fact of the matter is that at any given point, if you went out to a dog park in New York City and there were 100 dogs there, and they were like, hey, we're gonna do snap tests, which means they're going to have a little test. They're going to take a swab. They're going to take a fecal test, put it in there, and they're going to check. 80% of those dogs will test positive. But that doesn't mean that 80% of the dogs there are actively having symptoms of Giardia.
And it's actually 84% of
up?
the general dog
Okay.
population will test positive at any given time for Giardia.
Okay, but a puppy, a dog that gets it, yes, a dog can stress. They can, a puppy goes home. Okay, here's how it all starts for us. Our dogs are here. They're living their best life. Our parent dogs are great. The older a dog gets, the less of a problem Giardia is, because just like people in Mexico and places like that, the more they're exposed to it, the more their immune system matures, the better off they are. And they can drink the same water that if you literally take a shower and open your mouth and accidentally get a drop like Lauren did on a mission trip, boom, she knew what Giardia was, because it is like full-blown diarrhea, watery diarrhea.
You pour chocolate milk out on the floor.
Yeah,
that's
and
what it
we
looks like.
basically look at it and say, this is what it looks like. It just breaks down the GI tract, upsets it so bad. It's like watery chocolate milk, and it's bad. And nobody wants to bring home a dog or a puppy and have this going on in their house. I mean, it's already hard enough, to potty train and get a puppy on a schedule. We look for Tootsie Rolls, not chocolate milk. We want Tootsie Rolls
That's
here.
exactly right.
And that's what we want. And so when we go from, so we watch our puppies' stools, even in the nursery and in the cottage. And it's funny because as they get older, you start seeing it. It'll be, puppies like newborns, the consistency. But as they become eating, we get the Tootsie Rolls, but then it'll change. And we have our staff make notes of what's changing. And we have gross,
it's
analogies.
all food related.
Yeah, like, is it soft serve ice cream? Is it a milkshake? Or is it a Tootsie Roll? I'm going to forever affect your desire to have those things. But that's how because our staff can identify with that.
Yes.
But in the nursery, our moms can be a carrier. She can go out.
I'm going to be honest with you. I love if a mom had it and then dealt with it on her own, because she's going to pass a great immunity to it onto her puppies.
Right.
And so the thing is, so for Giardia, one of the things to be clear, like you were talking about, if you go and test these dogs, these are going to test positive.
Right.
So there's different types of tests. And the silver lining of COVID is everybody understands antigen test versus, like a PCR test versus all these different things.
Yeah, we're all educated now on that, right?
So with that being said, the antigen test, the SNAP test that's done, it's not looking for the presence of Giardia. It's looking for the body's immune response to Giardia.
So that means you've had it, you've been exposed to it, and you could have already fought it off.
Or you could be in the middle of fighting it off with no symptoms
Which
and
is
gonna deal with it
wonderful.
fine. That's what it's for. That's what you want it to do.
Which is absolutely wonderful. But in the day, and back in the day, I mean, if your puppy goes home and a vet says, oh, bring your puppy in. We have a 3-day window to get that puppy in. And of course they want to hit it with every test.
Yeah, and they're
now.
going to test it with that SNAP test.
They're going to do the SNAP test.
And here's the thing, because puppies are young and their immune systems are just developing, they're in a lot of cases going to test positive on a SNAP test, because just like with COVID, they told you, hey, don't go get a test even once you're over it for a few months, because you're still going to be positive, because you may still have those antibodies in your system.
That's right.
Same thing here. Your puppy could have cleared Giardia all on its own with no issues, and is still going to test positive. And so I can't tell you how often we hear about my puppy went home, tested positive, and so the vet went ahead and started treatment with these medications. And then I'll always ask, well, did your puppy have symptoms? Well, no. So no diarrhea, no anything, and now we're treating for nothing.
This is a hot topic in the world of pet owners and in dog breeders and in cat breeders and in any
everything.
type. Because here's the thing. So you guys get a beautiful puppy, you might have sent it to prep school, paid a lot of money for the puppy and this. Now the puppy leaves here. Maybe the puppy has no symptoms. Puppy's great. Puppy goes into prep school. Guess what the puppy's going to start doing? Going outside, going on walks, leash walking, going and being socialized, going into the world where the puppy has never been. These Giardia cysts, Giardia is found in standing water or in feces. So a puppy walks through something, maybe steps on a rabbit poop or eats a rabbit poop or drinks some water or does something like that. And anything that I have in my breeding program with Golden Retriever behind it, it's going to find the water.
It is. And the thing is,
They're going to be exposed.
Well, and we're not so worried about rabbit poop, but if you're going to a dog park, they're going to step in dog poop.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
And where it was.
And where it was. And the thing is that they're going to come in contact with it.
Absolutely.
And as long as their immune system is clearing it and dealing with it on its own, that's a healthy dog.
Yes.
That's a great situation. The problem comes in, and so something else to be clear here, what do? So the company that makes the SNAP test, actually on their website, you can look it up and see it, it says, if you get a positive result on the SNAP test, it could be a false positive due to the antibody still being in the system from an infection that's already been cleared. Please back it up with a lab test that looks for the presence of cysts.
The actual cyst being passed through the stool.
Correct. It also says, though, if your test is negative, back it up with a lab test, because it can be so early in infection that it's not yet had a chance to build antibodies. So the company that makes the SNAP test literally says, exactly, no matter what the result is, back it up with a lab test. So what the lab test is it's a fecal test that is going to spin the fecal in a centrifuge and then look at that, because that's gonna force anything that's in it to come to the surface. That's the test that we do. We do the test that the company says go do no matter what your results are. Now here's the thing. This is gonna be gross for a second. A puppy has a turd that's this big.
A Tootsie Roll.
A Tootsie Roll. Now, I'm gonna take a sample out of that turd that's a little teeny tiny sample over here. Is there a chance that that puppy's carrying around Giardia and it's over here in the sample, or it was missed in that collection? Sure. But nobody's maliciously trying to send home a puppy that has an active infection. We're doing the fecal checks. The fecal check can be negative. And then in a couple weeks, you do another one. That's why we do routine fecal checks on our puppies.
Yeah.
The puppies in prep school get them done weekly. The puppies up here in the cottage and in our nursery areas, they get litter fecals done weekly.
Yes.
So we do fecal checks regularly so that we can look for that. But is there a chance that, you know, when you check it, you just happen to miss it in that? Sure, but that's why we do it and we back it up regularly. But we're looking for it in that way.
You know, Carol and I have had so many conversations. We start our mornings sometimes early, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, having conversations about, you know, how is this litter? How is this puppy? What's going on with this? Because we are so detailed that every single puppy that we have every single day has a chart, a file for the litter, a tag color, and a weight. We know what's going on with every single puppy. So if we start looking at, oh, they've got watery, this one's that. Have we done a fecal? What's the fecal show? Fecal's clear. Everything's great. Okay, good. How's the puppy? Eating, drinking, symptomatic? Seems fine, a little loose too. So what we have learned is that we monitor our puppies, and we lean more on the conservative side. We have done this for years because we probably deal with more puppies on a puppy level, little young puppies, than most vets in the country, because that's all we do. We see young puppies. Most vets don't get puppies at 1 week old, 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old. They're getting them at 8, 10, 12, or whatever. So we have learned some things, and we're going to share all this in just a minute. This big news that we want to share with you, but we do want to kind of bring you up to how we've gotten here, okay? Because I would say to Carol, how many times, if we were just saying, if you could have a magic wand and you could fix one thing in the dog world, this is what I would say in the past. She would ask me, I would say, I just wish that I could I'm going to find a cure for Giardia, because I hate the fact that 80% of the dogs have it, and that our puppies go home, and what happens? They go to, now there's all kind of vets out there. There's new vets and older vets and middle vets and vets from all 50 states and around the world that see our puppies, because our puppies go everywhere. And it's amazing the vast difference of the responses that we get from actually vets from all over the country, depending on what veterinarian school they went to or what their experience is. But my one thing was, I just want to cure Giardia because it's the number one thing that you guys hear about or see and blow up and stress out over and get in your groups and chat it all up and start trying to do breeder bashing over Giardia, when if we flipped that role, and I'm just gonna let it out today. If I flipped that role on you as a parent and said, how dare you send your kid to school? Your kid got a virus. Your kid got head lice today. Your kid did this. What a terrible parent you must be that your kid got a virus. Oh, got an ear infection? Kid's got a runny nose. Terrible parents, can you believe them? I mean, I'm going to get in all the parent groups and knock them and tell them what a terrible parent.
Right.
You do that to, you would never do that. But that's the mentality they have. And that's why I'm like, I just wished it would go away because we understand it, but you guys don't. And today, Carol's going to share some news with us.
And you know what? On kind of the thread that you're on, I'm going to share some news with you guys.
She's going to share.
I'm going to say this too.
I'm so happy about it.
You guys, y'all have to know, no matter what. Anybody who says everything in their life is perfect every single day, all of the time, and nothing ever goes wrong, kids never get sick, you're never going to trip and fall, things are never going to happen, they're just delusional. That's just not reality. Yeah. It's not what happens. To me, one of the things that Sherry does a great job of and that I work really hard at too is what if, okay? Those things that can happen, what then? That's where we really try to work at Shining is providing you guys with the support, providing you guys with the information. And even today, I had a conversation with a client about what you were saying with the vets. We were talking about Giardia, and it was, you see, vets seem to be all over the place. You can have a way lean this way. Oh my gosh, we gotta do an ultrasound, do a biopsy, do this, do this, do this.
All alert. Get rid of the rugs. Get rid of the dog. Your kids can't touch it. And we're like, what? My vet, 80-year-old vet, said, in all my life, I have never received Giardia from an animal. And I have put my hands in a lot of stuff.
You almost said what he actually said.
I had to rephrase myself real quick, what he said.
But then we also have the vets who say, oh, in the absence of symptoms, your puppy's fine. Don't worry about it. It's
love
super
that
common.
vet because that's the vet that is right on.
Yes. And then there's a lot that fall in between. So here's the information. So AVMA made a recommendation a few years ago.
Who?
AVMA, so American Veterinary Medical Association, made recommendations a few years ago that basically said in the absence of symptoms, Giardia should be allowed to resolve on its own. And the reason for that is there was such a big upswing in treat, and you would have literally
with antibiotics, guys.
Yeah, metronidazole and fenbendazole.
Flagyl,
Flagyl, Safeguard, all of it. So, but what would happen is they would treat, then dogs, then they would retest, and guess what? The test is going to be positive.
So you got to treat again for another 14 to 21 days, and then guess what?
Test is positive again, and you end up in this vicious cycle because if you never let your dog's immune system deal with it, then at some point your dog's immune system has to deal with it. So if you're always giving medication that is killing it and the dog's immune system isn't, as soon as you come off the medication, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna get it. And now we get this whole vicious cycle. We there for a while had clients we had spoken to that had gone through 18 months of treatment.
Oh gosh, I mean.
Still positive.
And it's because, and we're just sitting here wanting to pull our hair out going,
Stop
why would
treating.
you do that to your dog? Just let it go. Take the medicine. If they've got a loose stool, treat the symptoms. Use some pumpkin. Use some things. Add some fiber. Let their body fight it off. Cook some chicken and rice. Do some natural things to help their body fight it off.
Give probiotics to help boost that.
But being on medication and going to vets every 3 weeks is, running up the vets. And I'm sorry if you're a vet and you're one of those kind, you need to hear this because we have lived this. I have been doing this for 40 years almost, and I have seen this with my own eyes, and there's no amount of education that's going to take away the experience that
and
we
the
have.
passion comes from, so we've not only lived this and walked it, but we've seen the really, really bad outcomes that can come from it. We can see the dogs, and there's a lot of research now, guys, that is showing that metronidazole with long-term use actually leads to irreparable damage to the GI system.
And some neurological issues.
Issues. And so one of the things is that there are certain things that, you learn as you go. And so I'm not saying that any vet has made a bad recommendation based on what they knew.
What they learned in vet school, but I'm glad that vet schools are changing their tune.
Yeah, so we learned. So the AVMA made those recommendations a few years ago, and a lot of times recommendations are made, but there's a trickle effect to it.
Right.
Well, we now know that as of this year, vet schools are now teaching that in the absence of symptoms, Giardia should not be treated except in, and it's not even in the absence of symptoms, It should not be treated except for severe symptoms or in an immune compromised case. That the treatment of Giardia can have more long-term issues than the Giardia itself. Bottom line is, your dog isn't going to, in most cases, unless there's some weird 0.01% fluke going on, Giardia is not lethal.
No.
It is not going to kill your dog. But not taking your dog out and socializing it,
It's going to make him a bad dog.
that's going to make a behavioral issue, which is the number one killer of dogs. It's why they end up in shelters. It's why they end up in places. Thankfully,
Right.
we're here for hours.
Right.
The other problem is not getting your dog having a healthy immune system, and doing these things leads to so many other problems. And we've seen that. We've seen the people who are struggling with food sensitivities. There's also a theory now, and this may be a rabbit trail that we don't want to get on, and we
Right,
can
right.
revisit later.
Right.
But there's a lot of thinking right now that the reason why we're seeing so many autoimmune issues with dogs is because of so much proactive medicine. That in humans, they've already found and researched that in third world countries, you just don't see allergies and anaphylactic reactions and autoimmune issues, but it's because their immune system on a regular basis is actually doing what it's supposed to. Well, in the absence of that, the immune system is sitting on go, ready to react to anything. So being so proactive at treating everything and leaving the immune system with nothing to do is a theory of why we're seeing so many of these other issues. So that being said, Giardia is not lethal. Let your dog's immune system do what
That's
it
right.
does. And the
That's
really
right.
cool big news here, just to circle back, is vet schools are now teaching.
Yes.
Giardia. So you had said, hey, I want a cure for Giardia. We don't need a cure for
Yes,
Giardia.
we don't need it.
We need everybody just to understand Giardia is just not that big a deal.
So we
It
have a
just
vet
isn't.
tech that works for our vet, that he's our vet tech that works very closely with our dogs, went off to veterinarian school. And Carol called and said, you're not even going to believe what he just called and told me. He said, Carol, you're going to love it. When I started veterinarian school,
It wasn't the recommendation. This is what they were teaching was the normal stuff, but as of this year, they've all shifted.
and
what
he's
they're
graduating
teaching.
this year.
He is graduating
so
this year.
from his time in veterinarian school, they have finally gotten to the place of teaching what we have learned from experience for, I know, the last 10 years. Carol and I have recommended to our clients, just if you'll listen to what we're telling you, this is what we do and this is what we see. You're going to test positive. You're going to be exposed. Don't freak out. Just wash your hands.
Yeah, Dana's
You
got a
know.
question.
Well, I have a question on this topic.
Okay.
So we talked about the false positive or whatever you call it. But if your dog truly does have Giardia, what are the symptoms and what's the duration?
So it varies from dog to dog. Now, if you want to try to fight it with antibiotics and you want to get in the vicious cycle, I can't even predict how much that is. But if you're
Right.
just going
Just
to let
natural.
them do their thing,
Right.
to be honest, in most dogs, you're going to not really see any symptoms. Most dogs in a normal situation are going to get it. You're never going to see any symptoms. They're going to clear it on his own with no problem. Now, what happens with us is at that time period where a puppy is first able to get it because they're going out and about, it just happens to be at the same time as a puppy's going home,
Yeah.
which is a stress. And when your puppy is stressed, their immune system is compromised. It's not going to work like it normally would. And we will see some subtle symptoms of diarrhea, loose stool. I think Will actually has a graphic of the Giardia symptoms.
Oh, a graphic.
Yes. So since he's got the, so you're going to see symptoms of this, and this is pretty cool. This is actually, you Google it, this is what you're going to see.
You're going to see all
So
kind of stuff.
Sometimes there are no visible symptoms. Soft or light colored stool. Now, true Giardia, like, okay, we need severe, like,
We got to do something.
that's chocolate milk poured out in the floor would be the best way to
But
describe it.
also just treat it with like Imodium or something like that. Just an anti-diarrheal will help.
So diarrhea, possibly with blood, gas. So you're going to have some symptoms of that. Most dogs are going to have the soft serve, and then that's kind of it. They have good control. They're eating, drinking, playing normal. So eating, drinking, playing normal in the absence of other symptoms, let it go.
But what happens a lot of times is people will say, but I've got another dog and now it's going to give it to all my dogs. And it's like, your dog's going to be exposed to it when they go out to play. if they go to the park. This puppy that's coming home, that's fighting it off, that's trying to build its immune system, is not going to hurt your adult dogs.
Correct. And that's a great point to bring up too, because here's what happens. Your puppy will come home, they're fighting it off, their immune system a little bit compromised, but they'll pick back up, they settle in from that stress,
Absolutely.
they'll get it, they'll knock it out. But now your adult dog with a healthy immune system, sure, they may pick it up and they're gonna fight it off on their own. But guess what? If you take them in to get tested, they're gonna test positive because their immune system just fought it off and dealt with it.
That means they're healthy dogs. We're breeding really healthy dogs
And
that
they're
can
doing
fight
a
it
great
off.
job. Now, side note here. So on this same graphic, gas, diarrhea, that also can be stress colitis. If I have a puppy that's stressed out, you change their food suddenly, the water changes suddenly, those symptoms can be caused by that too. If I'm in a new home and suddenly getting a lot of treats, or I've got kids around and everybody I knew is now different, that can also cause a lot of those
Stress
symptoms.
can also cause diarrhea. That is not Giardia.
Correct. And so the thing is, when you get a new puppy home and these are your symptoms,
Expect a little loose stool and stress colitis. It's going to happen.
it is. And that's totally normal for your puppy. No different than, lack of a better way to put it, there's a lot of people that when they travel and get into a new situation, their stomach doesn't handle it the best.
But it is. Now, when you have a little 5-pound puppy or
It's
8-pound
scary.
puppy and they're having diarrhea and, what's coming out of them, they've got to make sure that what's going in, you got to replace those fluids. I don't want you to take this and go, oh, I'm not even going to care, because if a puppy's having diarrhea or nausea and they're not eating and they're not drinking, you can get in a crisis situation really fast. So we believe in treating the symptoms. Treat the diarrhea, treat the nausea.
Well, and here's the other thing to watch for is we always look at the symptoms as what they are, okay? And think about it in terms of if this were my kid, okay? So a little bit of diarrhea, but a playful, happy, bouncy puppy that's eating and drinking, I'm not gonna be super stressed about that. Now, a little bit of diarrhea, some spitting up, like burping, but everything else is normal, I'm still gonna probably not be worried, but I'm gonna watch. Now, a little bit of diarrhea, but also a puppy that's laying around, lethargic, not really wanting to eat, not really wanting to play, I'm gonna be concerned, and we're gonna get that puppy checked out.
Because our blood sugar's dropping too, and we can't let that happen. So we're not saying don't go get your puppy checked and things. Just know that a healthy, happy puppy that is not symptomatic, don't stress out over it so much. We're just here to tell you, let the puppy's immune system do what it does, and make sure your puppy's eating and drinking. We recommend a little pumpkin, a little Imodium for diarrhea, a little Pepto for nausea. I mean,
non-fat plain yogurt is also great.
Putting back those probiotics in the system are
that
great.
lactose slows down the GI system just a little bit. Lots of little things like that are really, really helpful. But here's a big takeaway here. No matter what is going on with your puppy, if everything is perfect, call us. Let us know. We want to hear that. If you're worried, call us. We're here to help and provide support. One of the things that I think for us is we're really working hard to make sure that you're getting a great, healthy, and wonderful puppy. We're not actively sitting around trying to go, hey, let's.
No. Our goal is to give you a warranty on your puppy, to stand behind that puppy, to be there for you. The thing that we want more than anything is that your puppy goes home and has a wonderful transition with no issues, no anything. And you know what? On a scale of 1 to 100, probably I would say how many? 90%?
Oh, I'd say like 97.
But yeah, 97% make that transition without a hiccup, okay? But there's no 100% perfect situation or scenario, and there are going to be issues, and there are going to be puppies that develop health issues, and things get past us, get past our vet, will get past you, just like things get past your kids and in your life too. But know this, we're still here to help you.
Yes. And that's just it. We're all human, so things do slip through sometimes, but at the end of the day, our hearts are always there for you guys and with you guys. And all day long, I'd rather hear from you guys to say, hey, stool looks normal. He burped a little funny. I'm a little worried. What do you think? Hey, call. I want to talk to you guys about that and kind of coach you through it. And if you're worried, reach out. That's what we're here for.
All right, Dana, you got your hand up.
Well, I was just gonna ask a question, but I decided not. I was just gonna say, would that be considered an unexpected illness, like we talk about Trupanion when our clients pick up their puppies, make sure they've got would that be considered by an unexpected illness?
I'm not sure how Trupanion does that. We do. When you pick up your puppy, she's talking about a free 30-day trial of Trupanion that every puppy goes home with in most states. There's a few states that don't allow it, but if you fill that out within 24 hours, and it is time stamped sensitive, if your puppy develops this, if we send your puppy home with a clear bill of health and then it breaks out with it later, I think it might be covered.
But here's the thing though, that I actually have learned in interacting and talking to clients and interacting with Trupanion. In some states, Trupanion follows the AVMA guidelines. So if your vet is making recommendations that do not follow those guidelines, they don't cover. So the guidelines currently are, in the absence of other symptoms, do not treat. So if your puppy has no diarrhea, no vomiting, no this, and your vet is treating, Trupanion would deem that unnecessary treatment.
Right.
That is good
Any
information.
comments over there from our
We just have some hellos. We've got Giardia Millam saying hello, ladies. Sam said hi. Lauren Burns with us says hey.
Okay.
Robin Kahn says hi. Sarah Biggs was watching. Hey, Sarah. Wendy Buchanan was giving us some thumbs up. Christina Vasquez says wonderful information.
Yes.
And Lauren says I love the information.
Yeah, this is good
This is
information.
really good.
And this
Good.
right here, this chat is a chat that if you guys can take this chat and share it in every doodle, dog loving group that you know of that you're in, please share it, because we're not in those groups. But this is our heart. When you see somebody say, oh my God, my dog went home and it has Giardia, I'm gonna do this and that, and this is how I feel. Just share this and then say, and at the end, guys, when you see this in the group, call us. We are here for you. But I'm not going to continue to cover vet bill after vet bill after vet bill for vets that are not now following what we know is the fact. So you're going to have to follow the rules and do what the American Veterinarian Association is saying to do. We're standing behind that now.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's exactly our stance.
And here's what's interesting too about that is, y'all, we really work hard at staying up on the latest research. And you guys have heard us talk about how we partner with companies where they also utilize us, because like Sherry said, we do puppies. A lot of other places don't. They just don't have access to the data
more
that we
than
have.
most people in America do puppies, and we're proud of it. We have the experience. Yes, we're a larger program, but I will tell you that we have the staff to care for them. And because of that, everyone that has come in here and has evaluated us has always said they're covered.
Yeah,
they're cared for 24/7. Yes, Dana?
We've got Giardia. I'm sorry.
Yep.
And Kuzak saying, great information. Thank you. Giardia says, love this info. Can't wait to pick up our Novena Blue in April.
Yay.
Oh, what a great little boy.
Oh my, yes. I can't wait for you to see that cutie.
Suzanne Park says, I'm trying to give thumbs up on this chat, but it
Thumbs
shows
up.
an angry face.
Oh, no. Okay, sorry. But
This is
like
great
us,
information.
Like
Thanks
us,
so much.
share it. Yes.
Tom Hossman says, thank you for sharing this information. It's really good.
This
I learned
is
a
good
lot.
information.
I think he got a fun
Excellent.
email today about his puppy.
Woohoo, I love it. But anyway, guys, this is a great topic. I'm not going to keep going on and on and on about it. We just wanted to share this brand new news. Your vet might not even know about this, because this is so brand new that our veterinarian that's about to graduate, that's going to be one of our dear vets, he's going to be working closely with us. He went to school to help us.
He did, yeah.
And one of the things that he said, I'm going to toot our horn a little bit, when he went to veterinarian school, what did the vets say?
Is they remembered us. They
Yeah.
remembered us because of the research that we do, because of the investment that we make in our dogs. So Auburn Vet School actually knows the Smeraglia name in terms of what we do with our dogs and how we care for them.
Yeah, and he was like, you work with them? Oh my gosh, and that was so great. And we're working with Embark, and we're working any way that we can get new testing and genetic testing to prevent health issues and to help our dogs be better, we're going to work with them. We're working with Purina. We're going to work with companies. We love to collaborate and partner with companies that love dogs as much as we do.
Absolutely, because everyone's heart is longer lives, healthier lives for your companions, for them to be forever blessings in your life, or as long as forever can be for them.
Yes, so today, let's just all take a breath and say Giardia is not something to be terrified of anymore. There's a very slim chance, like so slim that this could ever affect me. It's not gonna kill my dog. It's not gonna kill my other dogs. I just might have to go through the worst thing is a little diarrhea and make sure that I'm giving my dog the best care, treating the symptoms, and call us and we'll be there for you.
Excellent.
All right, guys.
All right. Okay. Well, lots of great topics coming for you guys in the future, but this is so much fun. I love being able to talk to you guys. And Will's going to post, I think Will's going to post the YouTube link in the comments later on once he gets it up so that you guys can share it with your friends that are not on social media.
All right, guys, you have a great day, and we'll be back next week. I should have been popping the champagne today, but I'm having the coffee instead. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.